the worst thing that could happen. It has, of course, happened to me. I'm trying to keep from crying because the devil was very, very, very particular in targeting me. But anyway, I was rushed to the hospital because I wasn't breathing so well.
All right, y'all. When I tell you this case just took a wild turn, I mean it. And honestly, I think after hearing these updates, you'll start to question everything they told us about what happened to Angie Stone. So let's go back for a second. When the news first broke, they called it a tragic accident. Angie Stone was driving late at night, lost control of her car, and crashed. That's what they told us. No foul play, no investigation, just a heartbreaking loss, end of story. But here's the thing. Some of y'all weren't buying it from the start, and honestly, I get it, because when you start looking closer, little details just don't add up. Now, I know some people roll their eyes whenever someone questions an official story, but listen, questioning isn't the same as believing everything is a cover-up. It's about making sure the truth isn't getting buried under a story that's just easier to accept. And with Angie's case, the inconsistencies are piling up. Turns out that might not be the truth at all. Let's break it down. The official version goes like this. Angie Stone was driving late at night in a van, lost control, and flipped over. Moments later, an 18-wheeler came down the road and hit the wreckage, making the crash even worse. It was tragic, but authorities claimed there was no foul play, just an unfortunate accident. But then, the witnesses started talking, and their stories don't line up with what we were told. Multiple people who were on the road that night say Angie was alive after her van flipped. Some say they even saw her moving, trying to get out. That means she survived the initial crash. Now, if she was breathing, conscious, and in a condition where she could have been helped, the real question is, what happened between that moment and the impact with the 18-wheeler? Because that's the part that no one seems to have clear answers for. And that's where things get weird.
For some people, they might be happy that it happened to me because everybody don't wish good things for you. Some people wish bad things for you. And just because we're in the industry doesn't mean we're not human. Things happen all the time. And unfortunately, when this happened, I just wasn't prepared for it.
Now tell me this, how does an 18-wheeler driver not see a crash right in front of him? And why do we know so little about him? Think about it, highways have streetlights, truckers have headlights. A flipped van in the middle of the road isn't something that just sneaks up on you. And yet this truck driver, whoever he is, somehow didn't slow down, didn't swerve, and didn't stop in time to avoid the impact. What's even stranger, there's almost no information about him. No public name, no interview, no arrest, nothing. Normally, in accidents like this, there's some level of accountability, especially if there's any chance the driver was distracted, tired, or under the influence. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. The trucking company that owned the 18-wheeler is CRST, and if that name sounds familiar, it should. This is the same company that was involved in Tracy Morgan's crash back in 2014. Remember that? A CRST truck slammed into his limo, leaving one person dead and Tracy with serious injuries. And just like this case, there were major questions about how that trucker didn't see what was right in front of him. So now we have a repeat situation. A CRST truck hitting a flipped vehicle and somehow no one's talking about it. And let's not forget about the lack of evidence. No police body cam footage, no dash cam recordings, no clear professional accident scene photos. In today's world where everything is recorded, you're telling me there's nothing? That's not just unusual, it's suspicious. So either this is the worst documented crash of the decade, or there's something being left out. And if that's not suspicious enough, let's talk about the people who were in that van, because their silence is loud.
The singer was leaving a performance when the crash happened. According to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, it was on I-65 around 7 a.m.
According to reports, there were at least 8 people in that van with Angie Stone. 8. That's a lot of witnesses, right? Yet somehow not a single one has come forward with their side of the story. No social media posts, no interviews, no public statements, nothing. Think about any other major accident involving celebrities or public figures. Survivors usually speak out, whether it's to share their trauma, honor the victims, or even just to clear up misinformation. People talk. But in this case, silence. And that alone raises some major red flags. Then there's Sharita Murphy. She's one of the only people we know was in that van, and she actually spoke up at one point. She claimed she warned the driver before the crash happened. But now, her social media is locked down, her page is private, and she's not saying anything else. Now ask yourself, if this was truly just a tragic accident, why are people going silent instead of clearing the air? If Sharita warned the driver, what exactly did she warn them about? And why isn't anyone else backing up or adding to her story? Something doesn't add up. And just when you think it can't get any weirder, we check the hospital records. Now, in a crash this serious, you'd expect that Angie and the other passengers were taken to a hospital, right? Even if some didn't survive the impact, protocol would still involve transporting them for official documentation and medical examination. But when fans started calling around to local hospitals, something strange happened. There's no record of Angie Stone or any of the other passengers. Now, let's be clear. Hospitals can't just give out patient details to random callers. That's standard. But usually in high-profile cases like this, there are at least statements confirming that the victims were treated there. News outlets usually cite hospital sources or family members provide updates from inside, but this time, nothing. So what does that mean? It raises the question, what happens when accident victims don't make it? Are they still transported to the hospital for confirmation of death? Or was something else done with Angie's body before any official documentation? And then there's the question of the official reports. Who's actually handling this case? Why is there no clear information from law enforcement, emergency services, or medical staff? When a major crash like this happens, we expect transparency. Instead, we're getting silence, missing records, and more questions than answers. But here's where it all starts to feel way too convenient, because Angie was fighting for something big.
A lot of my publishing, a lot of my royalties, my mechanicals, they have all pretty much been stolen.
Before this accident, Angie Stone wasn't just making music. She was fighting for money she was owed. And we're not talking about a few $1,000s here. Reports say she was looking into missing royalties worth up to $50 million. Here's what happened. Angie, like many other artists from her era, realized that the music industry had been shortchanging her for years. The way royalties work is complicated, but long story short, artists from the past, especially Black artists, have often had their earnings mishandled, hidden, or straight up stolen. That's where the Diesel team comes in. This is a group that specializes in forensic tracking of lost royalties. Basically, they help artists find the money that labels forgot to pay them. And guess who was working with them? Angie. Now, if Angie was on the verge of reclaiming millions in unpaid royalties, that means some very powerful people in the music industry were about to lose money. Money they had been holding on to for decades. So here's the real question. Did her fight for her money make her a target? If she was getting close to exposing a major financial cover-up, that would mean labels, executives, and industry gatekeepers were at risk. And history has shown us time and time again, when artists start asking too many questions or demanding what they're owed, bad things happen. Just look at the pattern. And if you think this is just speculation, well, Jaguar Wright has a whole different theory. Now, if you don't know, Jaguar Wright is an R&B singer who has made some of the most shocking claims about the music industry. Over the past few years, she's been calling out executives, exposing hidden secrets, and linking past deaths to industry corruption. And according to Jaguar, Angie Stone's death was no accident. She believes the industry took her out, that this was not some tragic car accident, but something much more calculated. Now, we can't ignore the fact that Jaguar has been right before. She spoke out about Aaliyah, Whitney Houston, and even Michael Jackson, pointing out the strange details in their deaths long before mainstream media picked up on them. And here's the part that really makes you think: the same patterns keep showing up. A talented artist fights for control of their money or music, they start asking too many questions, they suddenly under strange circumstances. It's happened too many times to just be a coincidence. And now, with Angie Stone, we're seeing the exact same signs.
I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm just here to let you know, one way or the other, Universal Music, you're going to have to give up my coins. And so what I'm doing now is whatever is necessary to make sure they pay me for the legacy of my life, for my children and my grandchildren. They're going to have to give me my money.
So let's put this all together, because at this point, the coincidences are stacking up way too high. Let's look at everything side by side. The official story claims this was a tragic accident, but eyewitnesses say Angie was alive after the first crash. An 18-wheeler hits the wreck, but the driver remains unnamed, uncharged, and practically invisible to the public. There's no body cam footage, no dash cam video, no accident scene photos that show us exactly what happened. The hospital has no record of Angie or any of the other passengers. The people who were in the van with her, not a single one is speaking out. And then there's the biggest piece. Angie was fighting for millions in missing royalties. This is more than just one strange detail, it's a pattern. And when you add in the eerie history of other artists who've died under similar circumstances, it's hard not to question the official version of events. At the end of the day, we may never get the full truth, but that doesn't mean we stop asking questions. If everything was as straightforward as they want us to believe, why are so many key details missing? Why are the people involved so quiet? And why do these industry tragedies always follow the same script? I want to hear from y'all. Does this seem like an accident, or is there more to the story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you think more people need to know what's really going on, hit that like button, share this video, and keep the conversation going. Because one thing's for sure, the more we question, the harder it is for the truth to stay buried.